Commanders hire Dan Quinn to match with their new general manager, Adam Peters, to lead this franchise into the future.
The way that we live is not for everybody, okay? It's not, all right? Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. Man, I am as ginned up for a football contest as I've been in a long time. I haven't had this feeling since 05. Last time we had a chance to go to the championship game. And I wasn't as confident in 05. A lot more nervous. I think I was way more confident in 99 going to the divisional round against Tampa than I was in 05 going against Seattle. But that said, this game is going to be everything and then some. Another opportunity for this group that I think I've grown attached to more so than I have any, particular team in the past. I'm not a big get attached to players type of guy because, over time you realize players come and go, But as a wise man once said, but the name stays here. The name got my daddy blood on it. Well, our name didn't stay and things have changed. But the one thing that never left and never changed was the passion I had for this team. It waned, it dwindled, it went back and forth, but it never left. But that fire is burning as bright as it ever has. And it's because of this team. It's because of, it starts with Josh Harrison and that group that purchased this team. It trickles down to Adam Peters. It then goes to Dan Quinn and his staff, and then these players that they've assembled here. And the hope that we all have and the belief that we have really centers around Jaden Daniels. But when you hear me say something like I'm about to say, I want you to put it in its proper context and its proper perspective. Being the most dangerous is not the same as being the best. Those are two different things. Do not confuse them for being the same, because they're not. The Washington Commanders are the most dangerous team left on the NFC side of the bracket. I'm going to tell you why here in a second. We are not the best team left on the NFC side of the bracket. That distinction goes to the team that will be playing on Saturday night. However, the disrespect that is being shown to this team, and we're really going to elaborate on that disrespect a little bit later. I don't really want to dive into that now. We'll dive into that a little bit later when we get to behind enemy lines. A lot to talk about when we get to that a little bit later on in the show. Make no mistake about it. There's no more dangerous team in this conference than us. Nobody wants to play us. The Rams ducked us in the first round. You can't convince me otherwise. I'm listening. They didn't want the smoke. They knew they could beat Minnesota. They didn't want any parts of us. They ass would be sitting home right now if they had to play us in the first round. They ducked the smoke. They could have been the 3 seed. They weren't interested. And I get it. And the likelihood, the real rationale behind them sitting their players is didn't want them to get hurt. I get it. They also didn't want the smoke. They didn't want the smoke. When you look at the Commanders and what we've been through this season, nobody's as battle tested as us. And so let's start with the reasons why we're the most dangerous on the NFC side of the bracket. We'll start with being battle tested. Who on this side of the bracket is more battle tested than us? Who has stared in the face of adversity more times than us? Who has looked losing in the face more times than us? Smacked the hell out of the loss, said, bring me the win. Who's done that more than us? In critical moments, and not all of it has been victorious for us. And I told y'all in the moment, I said, these losses sting, but they build callous. They make you a tougher team. They make you stronger. The Lions have some battle scars, no doubt. They've been through some tough ones. And one of the most respected victories of the season is their 26-23 victory over the Houston Texans on a Sunday night on the road, in which Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions and they still somehow found a way to win. You know who else did that shit? Us. When I look at teams like Philadelphia, you know what I see? I see a damn good football team that's flawed. And you know what their biggest flaw is? That when they get put in tough, tight situations, they fold up like a cheap lawn chair. They're used to winning games comfortably. They're used to being able to bully people. But what happens when you bully the bully? Where I'm from, bullies get bullied. And every time somebody stands up to the Philadelphia Eagles, they cower. When the moments get tight and their best is required, Saquon Barkley drops a pass that wins them a football game against Atlanta. When their best is required, Devontae Smith drops a pass against us and they lose that football game. When shit gets tight, they get tight. They should have lost to Carolina. Another drop pass bailed them out there. This time it was on the other side. They don't know how to win those close, tight ball games. They're used to winning comfortably. We have no such problems. Of the 4 teams left, the Rams are the worst. If somehow the Rams manage to beat the Eagles, I will be floored. Floored. And somebody go get Sean McVay, NFL head coach of the year, if they beat the Eagles on the road in that game on Sunday. I'll be floored. Flabbergasted. They got no chance if you ask me. None. You look at the Lions. It's a good football team, man. They battle tested too. They've been through some wars. They've got some battle scars. They've been through the fire just like we have. But you know what separates us from them and everybody else in this conference? You'll know what makes us as dangerous as we are? We don't have anything to lose. 10-point underdogs. 10. Double digits. We shouldn't even be in the game. And you know what? We might go to Detroit and get our brains bashed in. That could happen. Vegas, they don't make mistakes. That wasn't an accident that we're 9, 9.5, 10, depending on what book you're looking at. Underdogs. That's not an accident. They didn't stutter and they didn't make a mistake. That's not a typo. We're double-digit dogs for a reason. They're that good, and we're that green and wet behind the ears, and our breath smells like Similac. You know who has expectations? Detroit does. You know who else has expectations? Philadelphia does. So when shit gets tight, they get tight. For us, when shit gets tight, we're comfortable, feet up, at home, right where we're supposed to be. But you know, the biggest reason why we're the most dangerous team, and it's the most obvious, I saved the best for last, of course. We got the best quarterback in the entire conference. It's not even close. We got one of them ones. Nobody else does. When a play needs to be made, when a play has to be made, our guy is better than your guy. And when it's all said and done, if it's your quarterback versus my quarterback wins 10 times out of 10. And for that reason alone, we're the most dangerous team on this side of the bracket. Philadelphia knows already. The Rams wanted no smoke. And the Lions will find out on Saturday night. I hope they don't think that this is Sam Darnold they're coming after. You go right ahead and you pressure 66% of the time and play man coverage behind it like you did against Sam Darnold. I wish you would. You asking for trouble. You asking for it. I can tell you this much. The Lions, they ain't afraid to be who they are. That's what got them to the NFC Championship game last year. It's what stopped them from going to the Super Bowl last year, but I respect it. It's what's gotten them to the #1 seed in 15-2 this year. They're going to be who they are. That shit comes right into our wheelhouse. It's almost like a perfectly laid trap. Them being who they are fits right into us being able to exploit who they are. Now the question is, and remains, and will be the biggest question as we head to Saturday night, is can we get enough defensive stops to make any of this shit matter? Only one way to find out. But I do know this. If the game's close, and I told y'all this right after we beat Tampa Bay. I was the first one. I think I was the first person to say this. I'm hearing a lot of people say it, but it's true. So I'm not going to sit here and act like this was some great, revelation by me. It's an easy conclusion to draw if you've been watching this team this season. But if the game's close, we got the rock at the end, it's a wrap. So if you're Detroit, I see the number. I see the line. You better make that line come to fruition, because if it's a one-score game late and we got the ball, as I like to say, go ahead and grab you a shovel, pick a spot, and start digging your own grave, because you're dead. Dead, I tell you. Because my quarterback, he's a cold-blooded assassin. And it ain't another one in the conference like him. So we transition to in other news. We heard from Dan Quinn for the final time this week as the team prepares to head to Motown for this massive divisional round matchup versus the Detroit Lions. We'll get to what was said there in a bit. But before we do that, we got to first take a look at the final injury report for both teams. Not a lot to see either way, as you would expect. It's playoff time. Got to lace it up. If you can go, you go. If you can't, then you really, really got to be, banged up. So let's take a look at it for the good guys. And obviously it's a laundry list here, but as you can see, not many of these guys are going to, miss this game. Jordan McGee is out, and I told you, I think he might be done for the postseason, right? Done for the rest of the season, which is a big blow to us, because when teams, and Detroit is going to absolutely put this theory to test, when teams put big personnel on the field, 13 personnel, 21 personnel, you know, anything of that sort, we go to our 3 linebacker set and Michael Walker comes onto the field. Jordan McGee is a much better option there. And we saw it last week play itself out. I talked about it on the film, right? Well, not only is McGee out, Walker might be out, right? He's dealing with an illness and he just popped up on the injury report. So it could get really ugly for us in those situations. We may have to, you know, put an extra safety on the field instead of a backer, which is not ideal because now you're at a size disadvantage. You might have the speed advantage, but you're at a clear disadvantage size-wise. You know, although I will say, you know, linebackers, safeties, they damn near look the same now in today's NFL with all of this, you know, all of the different packages and versatility that teams like. But I know Michael Walker is every bit of 240, 245. None of our safeties are that damn big. So all the shit I talk about Michael Walker, we might be missing Michael Walker in this game if he can't go with that illness. Colson Yankoff, he may be back. They opened up his window last week. We're now on day 14 of that window. My guess is he'll be inactive again. Well, you know, well, not inactive. They won't activate him, and he won't be in the mix this week. But next week, if we make it to the championship game, you might see Colson Yankoff be a part of the mix. Everybody else, Bates, shoulder, Crowder, hamstring, Clee, knee, Frankie Louvu, shoulder, Sennett, shoulder, Wagner, ankle, Coleman, shoulder, Ertz, rib, Gonzalez, hip, Hampton, back, Lattimore, hammy, KJ, finger, Payne, finger, all good to go. And there was never any doubt that any of them would be good to go. Now, I've already told you, little concerned about Zane Gonzalez, but DQ said he's not concerned. And if he's not concerned, neither am I. I was a little concerned that they brought in a slew of kickers this week to have as a contingency plan. That does make me nervous. You're not doing that if you're not, you know, just a tad bit concerned, but I digress. So nothing here to see. We're all good. Let's go to Detroit and kick some ass. As for the ops, not much to see here either. Remember, their injury report consisted of 5 guys, and 2 of those guys, rookie corner Terrion Arnold and running back David Montgomery, were full participants all week, and we knew they were going to go, so they're not even listed here, right? Pat O'Connor, calf, out. That's a defensive line that's already thin. Having a guy that's depth for them not be able to go, that's a big deal. Kevin Zeitler, offensive guard, can't go, hamstring, that's a big deal. That's a dominant offensive line. You take one of those pieces out, good for us. Ennis Rickestraw, junior rookie corner, dealing with a hamstring and some illness, questionable. My guess is he'll be active, but you know, if they don't have to play him, they won't, but they need the depth at corner. They're already hurting at that position from a depth perspective. So if he can be active, they'll have him active, but he shouldn't be seeing the field if everything goes according to plan. So again, not much to see here from either team for that matter. So now we get to DQ and what was said at his presser. He was extremely excited for the opportunity. Obviously, you could tell. He's like, we had a great week of practice. That's a good team over there in Detroit. He's not lying. He's not wrong. I mean, we've all watched Detroit. A lot of us have salivated and drooled over the level of talent that they have, wanting guys that look like some of the players that they have on their team. We would kill for a Jahmyr Gibbs. We would kill for a Sam Laporta, right? So, I mean, and shit, we take a Jameson Williams in a heartbeat, right? I mean, what are we talking about? So, we want a Penei Sewell. We would. I think some of you might give one of your kidneys for a Penei Sewell type tackle, right? So they got all the stuff that we want. That's a damn good football team over there. That said, they can be beaten. And we'll talk about that as we, move along in tonight's show. But he talked about the respect that he has for them. And he was asked about, some of the things you can't see that don't show up necessarily on tape with them or don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet, because we know how good they are talent-wise. We know how good they are statistically, especially on the offensive side. And he said it's their demeanor, it's their play demeanor, it's their play style, it's the grit, the toughness that they play with. It's the identity that they've created. They play a certain way, and a lot of people equate their aggressiveness to their play style, but it's much more than that. They're physical. They'll ground you into oblivion. Ben Johnson is not afraid to run the ball 9, 10 straight times. If you can't stop it, he won't bother with the pass if he doesn't have to. There have been games where Jared Goff only threw the ball 18 times. Why? Because they're killing you on the ground. And then they go play action fake because you have to sell out to stop the run. Somebody's running wide open, and Jared Goff he had a game where he went 18 of 18 this season, right? Didn't incomplete a single pass and had like 3 or 4 touchdowns and had like a perfect passer rating. Okay? Like, this offense is for real. And he just talked about, like, they pose so many challenges. They have so many threats, and you just have to be mindful of all of them, but you can't be fearful. And this team isn't fearful. They're fearless. They're not scared. They're unaffected by the moment. They're unaffected by a road environment, and they're unaffected and unimpressed with Detroit's 15-2 record. Everybody's 0-0. We're 1-0 in this new season. They have yet to win a game in this new season. We got the momentum. DQ talked about in the injury, report, and he basically said everybody's good. Zane's good, Bobby's good. Not that I was ever worried. I told y'all I was less worried about Bobby, more worried about Zane. There's no issues here whatsoever from a worry standpoint. So we're good there, right? And he pretty much reiterated that. He was asked about Cliff and, Cliff's statement the other day. And, you got to watch what you say to the media, because they kind of phrase it in a way that, and again, it's harmless. Like, not that DQ is going to be pissed off, but he didn't say, Cliff, I'm referring to, didn't say that DQ has a gun to his head and he's forcing him to run the ball. But he did say that DQ has kept him grounded and, kept him in the frame of mind of that we have to stay balanced, right? He's not telling him, hey, run the ball here, right? He's not telling Cliff what he has to do from a play calling standpoint. Cliff has the full autonomy to call whatever he deems necessary. But he is telling him, hey, we need to stay balanced. We need to continue to run the football. And so they phrase it as if, oh, Cliff said you're making him run the football. And the DQ chuckled, but he said, it's a collective effort. Guys do a great job of playing complementary football. And he said it's not just on one unit. We do this together as a team. And he's right, because our special teams has been fantastic this year. They've been intentional. And sans for the Dallas game. And, what's crazy is even in the Dallas game, when they weren't at their best, when they gave up the 2 returns for touchdowns in that Dallas game, they had to miss a couple of missed kicks by Austin Seibert, including the extra point. Despite all of that taking place, right? Missed extra point, 2 missed extra points. They still blocked a punt and a field goal in that same game. Like, the special teams gave us a chance to beat the brakes off of Dallas, and we just didn't oblige, right? So even in a game where special teams, you could argue, is to blame, they gave us every chance for that game to not even be close and even be in that position. Our special teams has been fantastic this season. From Eckler returning the ball, hell, even Luke McCaffrey returning the football. From coverage units, like, the coverage units have been the best in football, sans for the Cowboys game. We make you return the ball, and you generally don't make it to the 30-yard line. And so, DQ talked about the complementary nature of what we do. And part of being complementary is running the football, right? Keeping the defense off the field, winning time of possession. This defense isn't built to be on the field a ton. They're not. Hell, we're nervous when they're on the field. They were on the field right around 50 snaps on Saturday or Sunday night against Tampa. 50! That's nothing. And we were nervous as hell, fighting for our lives. They're not built to be on the field for 70-plus snaps. That's a part of complementary football. And DQ kind of spoke to that. Special teams sets the tone with, forcing them to have to go 72 yards, 75 yards. When Tress punts, 88 yards, 92 yards, 95 yards, 97 yards for a touchdown. And then the defense needs to come out and do their job. And when the offense gets their opportunity, they have to do their job. And a great example of complementary football was on Sunday night, right? Offense drove the ball down the field, got stuck at the 1-yard line, couldn't punch it in, went for it on 4th down, didn't get it, turnover on downs. Tampa's got the momentum. Defense comes on the field, give up a 1st down. They fumble the ball, we recover it, and now the offense has another shot to get it done, and they do. It's complementary football at its finest right there. And DQ was speaking to that. They asked DQ to kind of reflect on, him getting this job. It's been almost a year, not quite at a year yet, because I remember DQ got the job the week of the Senior Bowl, which is that week in between the championship games and the Super Bowl. So that week that there's no football, the Senior Bowl, that's the Senior Bowl week. So we're approaching that space here shortly. Hopefully we'll be still playing football at that time. But, he said the thing that he remembers the most is wanting the damn job, hoping that they would call him back, It's just funny that we're almost at a year since he was hired. And it's kind of a full circle moment because of how Ben Johnson is kind of intertwined with this story and us, getting to the right option, the right man for the job. And he talked about how he knew he wanted to be here. Like, this was the job that he wanted because sitting down, he met with Josh Harris and Adam Peters and company in Georgetown, he said. And he said, after meeting those dudes, he knew this is where I need to be. This is who I want to work with. And he said over the last year, 11 months, that's been, confirmed for him. It's been proven absolutely true that this was the right place for him. And he was so glad that they called him back. And look where we are now. So, he's not going to win head coach of the year. But damn it, if he shouldn't be right in the midst of that thing. Like, I don't understand if he's not second in voting behind Kevin O'Connell. It's a travesty, but he's done wonders here, and he talked about that. That was really the gist of his press conference. Knowing that this team, he said they asked about how you keep this team kind of focused on the task at hand and not, having them be too, wound up or looking too far into the future. And he said, the thing that they do so well is that he said for about a 30-second span, I might talk to him about big picture, right? Bring it up because you got to acknowledge it, right? Let's not ignore it. It's like having that conversation with your kids when they're of age, whatever that age is that you think is appropriate. You got to talk to them about sex. You got to tell your kids, hey, this, like, don't bury your head in the sand and act like it's not going to happen. You don't want some deviant out there talking to your kid about it for the first time, or him or her learning about it through porn, right? You want to be the one to talk to them about it and let them know it's okay, but this is how you go about it, right? Or this is when you should think about doing it, or this is when it's okay to do it. Whatever is comfortable for you, whatever you think is the right way to go about it. But ignoring it and acting as if it doesn't exist, that's the wrong thing to do. And so for DQ, he's like, no. We talk about big picture, but it's brief. I bring it up, and then I get them to refocus on the task at hand, right? I don't even want them thinking about Saturday. That's too far into the future. We got too much other stuff that we got to take care of before we even get to Saturday. So it's easy to keep them locked in because we got a lot to do on Tuesday. We got a lot to do on Wednesday. We got a lot to do on Thursday. You know what I'm saying? To lock in, and then we travel, and then we get there, and it's time to get busy. It's time to get down on Saturday. He's like, I don't even want them thinking about Saturday. So, yeah. It's he talked about that summit, right? You're not at the mountaintop, right? But you're at the next stop, right? As you continue to try to climb. So he does a great job of keeping them present in the moment where their feet are, right? And not allowing them to get ahead of themselves. And there's no big head syndrome here. Like, you're 10-point underdogs. There's no such thing as getting ahead of yourself. There's no such thing as, oh, this moment is too big, or, man, we've arrived. We're 10-point dogs. Shit ain't sweet. They telling us we won't have a shot. That's what that number says. So that was the message from DQ. A really good one too. So before we move on and go behind enemy lines, quick public service announcement. Watch party. So let me lay the letter of the land down right now, or the letter of the law, if you will. So this watch party was not planned. The first one was, right? Playoffs, haven't won a game in 2 decades in the postseason. And so we had time to prepare. We had time to get sponsors. We were prepared. This one was out of spontaneity, right? You're in the moment. You're feeling good. You win. Everybody had a great time. I know I had a great time. And so everybody's like, yo, we doing this again? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, we doing this shit again. And so I look over at my guy, Twan, I'm like, yo, we doing this again? And he's like, shit, if you want to do it, we can do it. But we had little markers that we needed to hit. And there were, deadlines that needed to be made and hit, and they didn't get hit. And yet we still went ahead with the process anyway. So as of right now, the watch party is still on. And I hope that this thing goes off without a hitch, and we can still have it. But if enough people haven't bought tickets, we're gonna have to cancel the watch party. And like last time, a lot of people bought tickets at the end, like right before we shut down the tickets, and that was cool because it was gonna happen regardless. We were prepared to do it. If it was 6 people there, we was prepared. Didn't matter. That's not the same this time, right? We got to hit a certain quota of people at this thing to make it happen. If we can't, then we're going to have to shut it down. So I'm going to keep pushing it like I am right now. We had a blast the last time. I want to run it back. And if you are interested in coming, get your tickets, right? You need hotel accommodations, hit me up. I can give you the information for that. But again, if we don't hit our number, then we're going to have to shut it down. Anybody that's already bought tickets, you're going to be reimbursed. You can get your money back. Don't you worry. Okay. But the link to the tickets is in the comment, in the description of this video. I'll pin that at the when this video is over as well. And if you're a mod out there, go ahead and throw that in the chat, the live chat as well for me, please. Thank you. So again, man, we had a blast last time. If you follow me on social media, then you've already seen this video. But if you haven't, this was a little bit of the flavor from when we were there last time, man. It was a good time, man. So we had a blast. I would love to run it back. As of right now, it's still on the table. We still trying to see how this is gonna go. But again, if we don't have enough people, we gonna have to shut this one down. And it's all good either way, man. I tell you what, though, if we make it to the Super Bowl, we gonna rev the engine back up for sure, right? We gonna get it done if we make it to the chip. But in any event, let's now dive into behind enemy lines. I've got a lot to say. All right. So, as you can see, the Commanders are currently, and again, depending on what book you're looking, we're no less than 9-point dogs wherever you go. But the book that I follow, we're 10-point dogs. The level of disrespect that is required to be a 10-point underdog is crazy work. You know, normally I'm not offended by the line, right? That shit doesn't bother me. I could care less. And normally when we're, this big of an underdog, it's warranted. I think the reason I'm so pissed off is I'm like, really? You look at this squad, this team, and you just telling me we don't have a shot. We ass. Bet, right? That's my mindset. That's my demeanor. I actually like the fact that the line is disrespectful. Just more fuel to the fire. But make no mistake about it. The Lions are that good, right? It's less about us and more about how good they are. And they just don't see how we could go into Detroit and beat them. And not just beat them, have it be close. Again, it's a double. We in the playoffs. This is not a regular season game. We are double-digit underdogs on the road in the postseason. Let's talk about it. So let's start with Washington. All of these numbers are from the regular season, so keep that in mind. Total offense, 7th in the league. 370 yards a game, scoring offense, 5th in the league, 28.5 points per game. Passing offense, 17th, 215 a game. So right around middle of the pack. Sacks allowed, 50. Obviously, we know what that is. A lot of Jaden, scrambling out of bounds, running to the line of scrimmage, but doesn't quite make it, that sort of thing. But we're not fazed by that number. Rush offense, 3rd in the NFL, but boy, that number is largely based off of the games prior to the bye, right? We haven't had any semblance of a run game other than Jaden Daniels since the bye week. So that 154.1 yards, so 154 yards per game on the ground, that's all before the bye week. All before the bye week. 3rd down offense, 6th in the NFL at 45.6%. And that holds true. And you guys know the number 12-0 when the Commanders convert 40% or more of their 3rd downs. That is going to be a massive stat this coming Saturday night. We move to the defensive side of the ball. Total defense, 13th in the NFL, 327 yards per game given up. Scoring defense, 18th in the NFL, giving up 23 points per game. Passing defense, 3rd in the NFL. That's a misleading stat. If you're a Commanders fan, that 190 a game, you're not buying that for 1 second. But I expect to see a much better Marshawn Lattimore. And I'm going to take it a step further. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a pick in this game. You've heard it here first. Him or Quan Martin get a pick in this game. I wouldn't be shocked. Mikey's back. Mikey's back at the scene of the crime. He's home. Wouldn't be shocked if Mikey did something. I think there's a pick in our future in this game. And not, just one. We don't get turnovers. I'm not looking for it either, right? But I wouldn't be shocked if it happened. Sacks, tied for 11th with 43. Again, a lot of those sacks came earlier in the season. Again, pre-bye week. We haven't seen a consistent, cohesive rush since the Tennessee game. Okay. So again, everything that has been super positive that you feel really good about in certain areas, like sacks, like rush offense. We haven't seen those things since prior to the bye, right? And I guess you could say the Saints game, first half against the model, but those sacks only came because we were playing against the model, right? Those sacks didn't come because we were getting to the quarterback and winning, right? Rush defense, this is the biggest reason why that 10-point spread could come to fruition right there. That's the thing that scares me more than anything else in this game. I'm not afraid of Jameson Williams. I'm not afraid of Amon-Ra St. Brown. If they get us, they get us. That's a part of the game. It's the run defense that scares me shitless. It's the reason why if we lose this game going away, it'll be because of our rush defense. It'll be because of our rush defense. 3rd down defense, 15th in the NFL. So above average on 3rd downs. And again, I don't have a ton of confidence in our 3rd down defense. I don't. The Bucs were 5 of 9 on 3rd downs. Okay, 55%. Their season average was 50. We gave up 55% on 3rd downs. Again, the only reason they didn't do more damage is because our offense kept them off the field. Time of possession, tied for 13th, 30 minutes, 30 seconds. And that's going to be a big stat also in this game. Time of possession, obviously. And then turnover differential, we're +1. So we transition to the ops and their statistics this season. So total offense, they're 2nd in the NFL at over 409 yards a game, 410. Yikes. It's a lot of damn yards a game. It's a lot of yards. Scoring offense. First in the NFL at over 33 points a game. Zoinks! I mean, once again, they're the number one seed for a reason. They're 10-point favorites for a reason. They've had some outbursts this season. 50 some odd points up against Tennessee, and a big crooked number against Dallas, and a 40-point outburst against I think it was against, I mean, it wasn't an outburst. They needed those 40 points against San Francisco. They had 40 points against Buffalo, and it wasn't enough. We'll talk about that. But they've scored 40 a bunch of times this year. No stranger to 40 burgers. They eat those like they're nothing. Pass offense, second in the NFL, 263 yards per game. Sacks allowed, 33, so they're good for 10th. Goff gets it out of his hand. They've got a rock-solid offensive line. I can't see us getting consistent pressure on him in this game. And if you don't pressure Goff, lights out, baby. Rush offense, sixth in the NFL, 146.4 yards per game. Yeah. Third down offense, fourth in the league at 47. So yet again, another super prolific third down offense that we'll be going against, where you just ask the defense to fight their balls off on third downs. You know they're going to give it up. Can you just find a way to get 4 or 5 stops on third down? And the bad part is, might not mean as much in this game. You might get the third down stop, because what you'll see a lot of times with Detroit is on 3rd and 6, they'll run that bitch. Because they already know, right? Ben Johnson already knows we going for it on 4th down. So I'll run it on 3rd and 6, get 4, and now it's 4th and 2. Or get 3, and now it's 4th and 3. We got to be prepared for that. You know, third down is not third down for them. Third down is second down once you get into certain territories. Total defense, 20th in the NFL. This is where they can be had, right? 342 yards a game given up. Scoring defense, 7th. They're giving up just a shade over 20 points per game. Pass defense, 30th in the NFL at 244 yards per game. You can get it. You can get them. Like, you can get whatever you want through the air. All right. Sacks, 23rd in the NFL at 37. Here's where they buckle down. Rush defense, 5th in the league, giving up less than 100 yards a game at 94. So yet again, another week where we're playing against another ironclad, rock-solid run defense, and we're struggling to run the football. So you already know what that means, right? But it didn't matter. It doesn't matter how good or not good your run defense is. We're going to struggle anyway. So the key for us is to manufacture runs and positive plays on early downs, 1st and 2nd down, right? Whatever that looks like. Quick game, screen game, misdirection, Jaden as a runner, whatever it looks like. We should get a De'Ami Brown jet sweep in this game, or De'Ami Brown touch pass as he comes across in motion, right? Whatever you got to do to generate some offense. Third down defense, 1st in the NFL. Wowzers. All right. 32.4% on third downs. That's it. That is dental floss thin on third downs. So essentially, you can convert 1 out of every 3 third downs on this defense. Ouch. Okay. So if you have 12 third downs, you're only allowed to complete 4 of them, right? We got to be better than that. Time of possession, they're 3rd in the NFL at over 32 minutes. So that's going to be a battle that we're going to have to fight them tug of war style for, right? They're going to be pulling on the rope. We got to be pulling on the rope, and we can't let it go. Turnover differential, they're +9, 8th best in the NFL. So let's now turn our attention to some more numbers, okay? So want to take a look at some key stats from both teams, and then we'll even deep dive a little bit more into this Detroit Lions team. And some things that I think are really going to kind of sway the game one way or the other. So key offensive stats for both teams. Yards per play, Commanders at 5.7, Lions at 6.2. These teams are relatively even as you start to look at some of these numbers. Very interesting stuff. I mean, these are two of the better offenses in the league. There's also another stat just to throw in here while we're at it. Teams that have scored on over 50% of their possessions this season. The Lions have scored on over 52% of their possessions this season. And the Commanders have scored on exactly 50% of their possessions this season. That's the end of the list. No other team in the NFL has scored on 50% or more of their possessions offensively this season. Those are the two teams. These are very similar teams in a number of regards. Points per play, 4.434 for Washington, 0.504. So a little bit better, obviously, for the Lions. They're averaging 30 some odd points, 33 points. We're at 28. Rush plays, the percentage of rush plays for the Commanders at 47.8. Rush plays 47.8. So look at that. Look at that. 47% of the time for both teams. 47.8 to be exact for both teams. So obviously, pass play percentage is roughly the same. 5.2 for the Commanders, 5.2 or 52.2% for both teams. So they run it and pass it at the same clip. Obviously, that could change in this game, and all of that is dependent upon opponent, but we relatively stay in our pockets. Both teams do. Completion percentage, Commanders are at 69.4%. Lions are at 72.4%. So extremely accurate are these two teams throwing the football. Lions, that's a ridiculous number. We talked about this for the two teams already. Third down conversion rate, the Commanders are at 46.1 after their playoff game. The Lions were at 47.57% this season. So again, both teams are pretty close in how they convert on third downs. Red zone scoring, Commanders had an issue with this against Tampa on Sunday night, but largely on average this season, they've been really good in the red zone. Early struggles too. Remember, we weren't good in the red zone, especially at home early in the season. And then as the season wore on, we became more and more consistent. But as the season is also worn on, we've gotten less and less effective in the run game, in short yardage, scoring the football. So that's something else to keep an eye on. But 61.84% red zone scoring for the Commanders and damn near 70% red zone scoring for the Lions. So when they get down there, they score. And another thing, they're not afraid to go for it on fourth down. We saw that especially in the Packers game, right? That second Packers game, they went for it on fourth down twice in the red zone and scored both times. And that was one of the big differences in that game versus Green Bay. So they look for touchdowns. They hunt touchdowns when they get in the red zone. they're not looking to settle for field goals. Now you get to some key defensive stats, and there's some big ones here. Opposing yards per play. So the opposition's yards per play, 5.4 for the Commanders, 5.7 for the Lions. Opposition's points per play, 0.383 for the Commanders, 0.337 for the Lions. So the Commanders give up less yards per play than the Lions do, not by much, but the Commanders give up more points per play. As we know, the Commanders were giving up roughly 22 and some change on the season. Meanwhile, the Lions gave up just a shade over 20. So obviously that makes sense. Opposing teams' completion percentage, 62.65 for the Commanders, 61.15 for the Lions. So again, both teams can have the ball completed on them, but those aren't like gaudy numbers. They're not giving up 70% completion percentage. They're both closer to 60 than they are 70. So not bad. Opposing third down conversion rate, we talked about this already. The Lions are the best in the business at 32.43%. The Commanders are respectable 13th in the league or 15th, I think, in the league at 38.89. But here's the big number. Here's the biggest number of all of these statistics listed for both teams. Opposing teams' red zone scoring percentage. This is going to be key. Similar to the red zone scoring, how do you fare keeping the other team out of the end zone? Going to be huge in this game. Commanders give up touchdowns every 6. For every 10 trips to the red zone, they give up 6 touchdowns. Meanwhile, the Lions, for every 10 trips to the red zone, they're only giving up 5. And while that may not seem like a lot, it's a big difference between 1 touchdown and not having a touchdown. All right. There's a massive difference between being 3 of 5 in the red zone and 2 of 5 in the red zone. Big difference between being 2 of 3 in the red zone and 1 of 3 in the red zone. So the Lions are a little bit stouter down by the goal line in the red zone. Commanders, not so much. And that may be where this game is ultimately won or lost. Obviously, there will be other factors that weigh in, but how you perform when it matters most, which a lot of times I told you that one of my favorite stats is, red zone efficiency. We weren't very efficient last week, but we were able to overcome it due to some mistakes by Tampa Bay. You probably won't be as lucky this week playing against Detroit. So we didn't have a problem moving the football. We got into the red zone 5 times in the game against Tampa, but we only came away with a touchdown twice, right? So we've got to be way more efficient in the red zone if we are to be victorious in this game, all right? And the last thing that I want to take a look at is this. Because I think this is going to have a huge impact on how this game goes and how we handle the blitz, how we handle man-to-man coverage. Can we win? Can Jaden make accurate throws even if Terry's in tightly contested quarters? We know he's the best contested catch wide receiver in the entire league. So if you get one-on-one and you're confident in your guy, let it fly, right? Let it fly. So I'll read this to you. Because of their defensive injuries, the Lions heavily rely on the blitz. They're 6th with a 33.6% blitz rate, and that jumps to 38.3 and third most if you only look at the games after Aiden Hutchinson went down. So that's all I'm really concerned about. The 33.6 is not an accurate number for them. They're blitzing almost 40% of the time now that Aiden Hutchinson is no longer in the lineup because they have to generate a pass rush. Daniels ranks 23rd with a -7.4 DVOA against the blitz, but that's just passing. Daniels 191 DYAR on scrambles, led the league. And while part of that is sheer volume because he's done it more than anybody else in the NFL, his 40.8% DVOA was ninth among quarterbacks with at least 20 scrambles. So while he's solid against the pass or the blitz, throwing the football, not great, right? He is deadly with his legs. And he's gotten better here of late, taking advantage of pressure with his arm, especially deep ball wise, right? Buccaneers did it on the first possession on the first third down of the game, and he hits Terry McLaurin. So, Bengals did it late in that game, and he hits Terry McLaurin for the touchdown. Like, he's continued to grow in that aspect. We've seen teams pressure him get out. The big Terry throw for the touchdown against Cleveland, he escapes the pressure, gets outside, breaks contain, and launches it to Terry against the Browns. Those were all against blitz looks, right? He's had trouble with blitz looks, though, against teams like Dallas. Had some trouble in the first Eagles game. The Eagles tried to pressure him a little bit in the second game to no avail, right? So he's grown in that aspect. Detroit led the league playing man coverage. This is important. Listen up. Detroit led the league by playing man coverage 60.7% of the time. Couple that with the blitzing. We just talked about them blitzing 38.3% of the time. All right. So they're playing man coverage 60.7% of the time, and it overlaps with them blitzing 38.3% of the time. So you're getting a lot of blitz looks with man coverage behind it. Aaron Glenn is trusting his corners to win one-on-one battles up and down the field. I need you to put that, store it in your mind, put a pin in that. We're going to come back to that. This is a mixed bag. Detroit has allowed 34 explosive passes in man coverage, fourth in the league, but also limits teams to just a 40.2% success rate. Here's the big kicker, right? And it's feast or famine, and we're a feast or famine team when it comes to this a lot of times. You either beat them deep. They're giving up 12.2 yards per completion, sixth worst in the NFL. So either you're going to get them or you don't beat them at all. 6.5 yards per attempt, ninth best. So either you're going to hit them, and this is what Cliff Kingsbury talked about. Every so often they're going to get you. Aaron Glenn and his group, they're going to get you. You got to stay the course, right? They're going to win their fair share. You just got to make sure that when those opportunities present themselves for you to win, you win big. So you get that one-on-one with Terry, you can't miss. You get that one-on-one with Diami, and he's got a step on that corner, you can't miss. You get an opportunity if you're Jaden, they blitz pressure and you break contain and there's a gap, you got to take off and run. You got to make it happen. Daniels' 1.8% DVOA against man is nothing spectacular, which is what I just talked about. He's not great, right? But his 7.5 ADOT against man is seventh lowest in the league. We'll see if Washington opens up their air attack more and looks for deep shots to Terry McLaurin against Detroit's all-or-nothing defense. And, of course, man coverage means Daniels scrambling. That's the thing that I want to talk about, right? You can get away with that shit against Sam Darnold. You can get away with that shit against Caleb Williams. You can get away with that shit against Jordan Love. These dudes ain't running nowhere. This ain't the NFC North, right? This ain't that shit. This ain't Brock Purdy, who actually sliced and diced these boys, by the way. This ain't Brock Purdy. If you come at the Kang with the blitz, you best not miss. Detroit's defense ranks 30th in power short yardage success at 77%. Washington's offense ranks 4th in power success at 76. That's more Brian Robinson Jr.'s territory than Austin Eckler, so expect plenty of him in short and goal-to-goal situations. But again, a lot of those numbers that Washington has stockpiled happened early in the season. But the Lions aren't great at stopping the run in tight quarters. They're not the Philadelphia Eagles. Even though they stop the run, they're not Tampa Bay in those situations. So we might have some success when we get down there in short yardage situations, tight quarters where we're trying to run it. We might be able to have a little bit more success against them. Their best defensive tackle is done for the season, right? So there could be some opportunities in there. He was really good too. Lastly, however, the biggest mismatch of the game comes when the Lions have the ball and are running. Duh. Go figure. They are second in rushing with a 12.1 DVOA, while Washington's defense is 26th at a negative 2.5%. This even gets worse on second down, where the Lions still rank second, but the Commanders fall all the way to 32nd. David Montgomery has returned to practice too, so the Lions look to have both him and Jahmyr Gibbs ready to go. That's a very tough ask for Washington to slow down. And so, again, the thing I've been telling you about, the thing that scares me the most, the thing that should scare you the most, if you're a fan and you have hopes of stealing this game and upsetting the Lions and shocking the world, is you got to be able to stop their run. And I'm not asking them to stop the run. I'm just asking them to slow the shit down. I'm just asking them to slow the damn run down. Okay? But here's the thing. Make no mistake about it. Here's the thing. If you're going to beat Detroit, it's going to have to be on offense. And I've talked about this. I've said that there's no way that we can beat Detroit in a shootout. If we're going to win this game, it has to be played in the 20s. Well, that's false if they're going to play this aggressive, balls to the wall style of defense that they've been playing for much of the season. But they ain't seen an animal like Jaden Daniels. All it takes is 1 or 2 third down, bust them in the head, scrambles or dots that he throws for them to go, you know what? And really, it'll be more so the scrambles than it is the throws, because they'll dare him to make those throws. Like, okay, you made 1, do it again. Oh, you made 2, do it again, right? I'm going to keep challenging you if it's just throwing the football. But if Jaden Daniels has done everything this season. He's done everything. 86-yard touchdown pass, 40-yard pass from his own end zone, Hail Mary for a touchdown at the end of a game, improbable. Last-second touchdown pass against the Eagles. Touchdown throw to win in overtime against the Falcons. You know what he hasn't done this year? You know what he hasn't done? And we've been waiting, and I talked about this probably like 2.5 months ago. He hasn't had the 70-yard touchdown run, the 65-yard touchdown run, that long back-breaking, oh my God, electrifying RG3 versus the Vikings run. Hasn't happened yet. And it may not happen. But if there were ever a game that it could happen with the aggressive nature of the Lions, it's this game right here. You want to bring 6 or 7 guys. You want to play man coverage across the board. Everybody's backs turned, running with the guy that they're covering, and you don't get to Jaden or you don't get him down and he breaks through that first wave of defenders, stopping him. This could be the game where we finally see that big run for the touchdown that we've been looking for. He's got a massive run this season against Carolina, and coincidentally enough, he got a little banged up on it with an awkward fall. But he hasn't had one where he took off and ran for over 50 yards and a touchdown. This could be the one. This could be the game right here. And this could also be Terry McLaurin's coming out party in the postseason. If they're going to give him man coverage, if they're going to give him opportunities, and this is where De'Ami Brown comes into play because they like to play man and they like to keep Kirby Joseph in the post. He can't cover both of them. And ain't neither one of their corners good. I like Amik Robertson. Liked him coming out of La Tech. He can get got, okay? Their rookie, Terrion Arnold, buns. Walking pass interference. Waiting to happen. Slower foot. He can't keep up with Terry nor De'Ami. They're in a single defender outside that scares me on that Lions football team with Carlton Davis on the shelf. Now, their safeties are something else. Branch and Joseph, those boys are dogs. But that ain't going to be the problem when they blitzing. I'm attacking them on the outsides. If they're aggressive, and the numbers suggest that they're going to continue to be, if they're aggressive, they can be had. They want to play man coverage. They've done it 60% of the time this season. They want to blitz. They're doing it at a 38% clip since Aiden Hutchinson's gone down. So you want to blitz and you want to play man behind it? I think this is a Terry McLaurin game if I've ever seen one. Because even if he's covered, he ain't. They want to double him. All right, De'Ami, you up. Somebody getting ran by. One of the plays that set the tone for that game against Tampa was that first third down when they thought they were going to be aggressive all night and pressure the young kid, and he dropped that dime on them on the first possession, and that backed their ass off. As a wise man once said, I bet that'll cool your ass off. Then they got a little, all right, let's be a little bit more reserved. We'll pick our spots with the pressure. Then they started spying and double spies and bullshit like that. We ain't getting that in this game. They coming after him. We'll see what happens. I like my chances. But to go back to what I was saying, we may have to win a shootout. If they're being that aggressive and you're hitting big plays, you got to score touchdowns. But in doing that, if you're like we just talked about, they're feast or famine. Either you getting a big play or you not getting a big play. And if you getting a big play, then that means you ain't killing the time of possession game, right? You're not wearing them down defensively. You just hit a 47-yard catch. So you're not possessing the ball for a very long time. Now you got to cap that off with a touchdown. Because all of that means nothing if you don't score a touchdown. We're the kings of catching the ball deep, not scoring a touchdown on that play, and then having to then go down the field and finish off the drive. We don't like scoring touchdowns from 50 yards away. So, anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section. See what you guys have to say. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, dangerous, likely to cause harm or injury. You guys aren't dangerous, but Lucky and Magic certainly pays the refs well. Let's be honest. Meh. So you just gave the description of dangerous. Likely to cause harm or injury. Let me ask you something. I was on social media the other day, and I saw an Eagles fan asking Squire Brunson, who should we be rooting for? Commanders or the Lions? I don't know about you. I don't know about you. But as a Commanders fan, I would never root for a team in my division to win anything. Nothing. That's just me. I don't give a shit who it is. Eagles fans want us to do their dirty work. They couldn't beat Tampa Bay. Jalen Hurts couldn't beat the Bucks. They were your kryptonite. He's been to Tampa 3 times in his career. He's 0-3, including 0-2 in the playoffs. And my guy did what he couldn't do in one try. And you want us to go do your dirty work for you. You know why? You want us to go to Detroit and beat the Lions? Because you can't do it yourself. And you know why you want us to beat Detroit? Because we're dangerous. You think you can beat us. You don't want to play Detroit. You want us to take care of them because you think you can beat us. The winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl. This is the NFC Championship game right here. Ted Lucas, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Ted writes, Commanders versus Lions, 3-0, 4-0 Commanders. So Ted is referring to the Commanders / Redskins record versus the Lions in the postseason. We played them 3 times. Now, all 3 of those matchups were at home, mind you. Wild card in 1982, I think that was 31-10 or 7. Obviously, NFC Championship game in 1991. That was a 41-10 throttling of the Detroit Lions en route to the Redskins winning the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills. And in 1999, we played them again. That was the last time I thought we could win the Super Bowl. I didn't think we were going to win because I didn't think we could personally beat the 49ers in 2012. The 05 team, that was nice. It was fun, but we just weren't good enough on offense. We were going to lose to somebody eventually. We couldn't score points. So I had no confidence in that team's ability to win. But the defense was so good, we would have a shot. 99 was the last time I thought we could win something of substance. And we beat them up pretty good in that game. I think it was 27-13, if I'm not mistaken. 27-13. So 3-0 against them, but we've never gone to Detroit in the postseason. So a little different here, right? Anyway, I digress. Chanel Jones, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Chanel writes, Louie is preaching straight facts tonight. I appreciate that. Just call it how I see it. Just call it how I see it, Chanel. Ted Lucas, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, we're on a miracle run. I can't see it ending here. Miracle, it seems like we don't belong, right? It seems like it's like Duncan Wright just said, lucky. This ain't luck. Improbable is a better phrase and term to use. Improbable. This is very unlikely. Rookie quarterback, flawed roster, right? First year of a recalibration. Improbable is the right phrase, I think, or some synonym of improbable. Miracle seems like we don't belong here. We're only here because of luck, and that ain't the case. That ain't the case at all. I do agree with you on this, Ted. I don't see it ending right now. I don't see it ending. Commander Cole, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Commander Cole writes, hey, Lou, hope all is well with you and the family. Likewise. Off topic, but we need I got 5 on it merch. I got 5 on it. So I was actually in production with that. And then I looked up and everybody has I got 5 on it merch. Somebody had, now they shit was dope though, but somebody had I got 5 on it merch at my watch party last weekend. It was a dope ass hoodie too. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my shit down, right? So I've pivoted and I'm going to something else because that market is oversaturated. Oversaturated. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, per my promise to Miss P, her real name, I owe you one gift. I guess that's, Duncan, come on, bro. It's 10 o'clock. It was 10 o'clock when you sent that. Really? We plastered already? Let's not make this a drunken right night. You see what I got? Water. Go find you some. Take a sip. I appreciate you being a man of your word, though. Duncan Wright, thank you for your generosity, gifting a membership. Welcome to the squad. Brand new member, courtesy of Duncan Wright. Sean Hawk, my guy. Hawk! Hawk! Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, we got that killer instinct. We do. We got that KI. Now, it's levels to this shit, though. Like, the Lions got that KI. Like, DQ talked about the Lions functioning, or it might have been Joe Witt Jr. who said they function like they're trailing when they're ahead. So, meaning they don't take their foot off the gas. That's how you blow people out. That's how you score 40. You know, we saw what they did to the Cowboys. They was doing trick plays and shit to Dallas when they was down, throwing the ball to Penei Sewell, having fun on their ass when they had the Cowboys dick already in the dirt. So they got killer instinct too. We just got it in a different way because when the game is on the line, we cold-blooded assassins because of 5. Hell, Marcus Mariota did it. It's a team-wide thing. Rush is Variety. Been a member for 16 months. Who writes, been wondering, Lou, why does this feel different? Great question, Rush is Variety. Why does this feel different? Because it is different. Yeah. GT7, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Louie, what up, my guy? What's going on, GT7? Says, why, oh, why are the Lions content creators talking so effing reckless? Even Aaron Glenn called our O simple. Did he really? If you got that clip, I need it. Send that my way. Slim Reaper will test their mental fortitude. They need to talk to the Bears about that shit. Don't worry. If you got a clip of him calling this offense simple, I need that in my life. The last guy that called this offense simple, 38 on his head. 38 on his head. Look, Lions fans are supposed to be confident. And I'm not mad at their confidence level. Just put yourself in their shoes. If we were 15-2, would you be thinking about a 13-5 team? Would you be scared of them? If we were the number 1 seed, sitting at home, coming off of a bye, having gone 15-2 this season, would you be worried about a team coming into your house in divisional round weekend? Just put yourself in their shoes. You'd be talking just as much shit as they're talking. I'm not mad at them. But again, right? You're not, look, you are free to say whatever you like, right? You are not free, however, from the consequences of what you say, okay? So, as a wise woman once told me, and I've told you very, very many times, those who don't hear, feel. I'll leave it at that. GT7, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, glad Montgomery is healthy, but why they acting like returning from an MCL is light work? Makes no sense. Football gods heard. See you next week. I'm glad he's back. Like I said, I'd rather see him on the field than Jahmyr Gibbs. So if Montgomery being back means 12 less opportunities for Jahmyr Gibbs to touch the football, or the threat of him touching the football, sign me up. Sign me up. Captain Obvious, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Captain Obvious, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, when you come to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hold on. FDR. Wise man. This team is more resilient than any generation of Commanders, Redskins that I've seen in the last 25 years. Without question. Without question. It's why we're in the position that we're in right now, is because this team doesn't know how to quit. How many games have we been in where it felt over and this team said, not on my watch? Think about it in these terms. We've only been blown out in one game this season. That was the first game of the season. That's when everything was foreign to us. We didn't know how the defense was going to play. That was the first time they even played in a game together, because a lot of those guys didn't even play in the preseason, including Bobby Wagner. That was the first time Jaden had gotten on the field. There was so much unknown and so many moving parts and variables in week one. And it showed. We have not been blown out in a game since. And even the game that we lost, that we were winning in the fourth quarter against Philadelphia the first time around, where we did, you could argue, worst game of the season, right? I won't argue it. That was the worst game of the season for me as a fan watching this team. And despite that, that game was 26-10, right? We had opportunities to score, and we passed up a field goal and this, that, and the third, and I didn't have any issues with any of it. You know what we did even in that game? We could have quit. We could have waved the white flag. They could have won that game 26-10. No, we scored a touchdown, and we got the 2-point conversion and forced them to have to recover an onside kick. That's this team's fight. That's this team's resilience. They're going to make you earn it all the way until the end. Cowboys game. This shit is over. It's less than 30 seconds left, and we got to go 86 yards. We score a touchdown on the first play. The Hail Mary, I don't have to keep going. You understand what this is. This team is different, man. They're built different. And that brotherhood that they've been preaching, those winning time moments that they've talked about all season, that shit is legit. Sam Cosme the other day reiterated this, and he said it earlier this season, but he said it again. He says, I have a responsibility to hold up my end of the bargain for the rest of the guys in this locker room. I'm playing for something bigger than myself. You don't get that in every locker room. For other teams, that shit is lip service. They say it because it sounds good. We live it around here. We live it around here. Stacey Dales is covering the game for NFL Network, and she said, that's as connected a group as I've seen doing this ever. Like, people don't throw these types of accolades around loosely. Like, this shit isn't an accident. Like, when somebody earlier super chatted and said, it a miracle. This ain't a miracle because a miracle implies luck. There's intentionality with everything that has been done this season. Everything has been done with intentionality. From bringing in Bobby Wagner to bringing in Zach Ertz, guys that have won Super Bowls, guys that have been a part of dominant teams. You think those were accidents? Why do you think they throw the ball to Zach Ertz on every 4th and 5 or 4th and 6 that we gotta have? Man caught the game-winning pass in the Super Bowl to beat Tom Brady. You think it's an accident they brought him here? What, you think it was an accident they brought Bobby Wagner here? No. They went and sought out specific veteran leaders to bring here to lead this young team. Shit ain't an accident. It ain't luck. It ain't a fluke. We built for this shit. GT7. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. GT7 writes, just saw the hype video narrated by John Berthon. Man, I think I was the first person to click on the video. So I was watching DQ's press conference for the second time, and it ended, and they went straight into that joint. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And it had no views. It said uploaded 1 minute ago. I was like, oh, shit. Now, I will say I was disappointed we didn't get him mic'd up this week. Like, that shit is cracked for me now. Like, me and my wife be over here guessing who you think they're going to mic up this week. I was waiting on my mic'd up. But they gave us another dope-ass hype video, man. And they pulling out the big guns to narrate it now. Like, it's levels to this shit, as I always like to say. It's levels. We on a new level. We on a new level. We got John Bernthal out here narrating our shit now. Can't make this up. Chris McLaughlin, my guy, C-Mac. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Chris writes, hey, Lou. Hope all is well with you and the family. Likewise, Chris, as always, thank you so much for your generosity and your support. Can't thank you enough. Hope you and the fam are doing splendiferous right now. 3 questions. 1, how do you expect Kingsbury to use Pony in this game and why? 2 and 3, how do you expect us to scheme the Lions offense with 8 in the box to stop the run, and what blitzes and why? So I can tell you right now, they aren't going to sell out to stop the Lions run game unless the Lions get into like big, heavy personnel. Like if the Lions are in, your standard, 11 personnel and they're running the ball, or even if they're in, 21 personnel or 12 personnel, which is something that I expect to see them in quite a bit, 12 personnel. I don't think you're going to see 8 in the box consistently because your one, missed tackle, one bad fit away from giving up a touchdown. I think they want to try to stop the run as best they can with, and I think you're going to see a lot of maybe Deron Payne out at defensive end where they go with that 3 defensive tackle look to try and be a little bit more physical and firm at the line of scrimmage, at the point of attack, setting a physical edge. I wouldn't be shocked if you saw more of that in this game than Cleveland Farrell or Javonte John Baptiste. You might even see some Jalen Holmes. He's really good, physical and stout at the point of attack. So you might see him playing a little bit more defensive end in this game. But I think when it comes to stopping the run, I think you're going to see them try to be aggressive, but at the same time, not want to be over aggressive, knowing that one mistake with a Jahmyr Gibbs can get you beat. I mean, we are who we are, run defense wise. That's not going to change in this game. You're not all of a sudden going to be great at, crack replace and, setting a physical edge and getting to the, outside perimeter runs. That's not who we've been. That's why I'm terrified. That's why I'm terrified. As far as how do I expect us to scheme the Lions offense, I think that you're going to have to play. I saw this ridiculous stat about how good the Lions have been this season when you play man-to-man coverage against them. Like, the numbers were off the charts. It's to the point where you're like, all right, you got to play zone. And honestly speaking, we played a little bit more man since Marshawn Lattimore has gotten back. But there's such a good man-win team because we can't cover Amon-Ra St. Brown. We can't cover Sam Laporta one-on-one. And so that's a win for them. You can't cover Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield one-on-one. So they want you in man coverage because they got guys that are going to win. Who's covering Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield one-on-one? Who's covering Sam Laporta one-on-one? Who's covering Amon-Ra St. Brown one-on-one? I'm not worried about Jameson Williams, to be honest with you. I'm not. They don't really throw it deep all that much. Like, when Goff throws it deep, he's more likely to throw an interception than a touchdown because he'll force it. Like, when he decides I'm taking a shot, he's going to take that shot whether it's double coverage or not. He's going to throw that bitch up there. You might be. That's why I said I can see us getting a pick. But if you get beat over the top, he ain't going to miss. He ain't going to miss. I'm more concerned with Amon-Ra St. Brown being what Chris Godwin was for the Bucs in that week 1 matchup where we couldn't stop Chris Godwin on third downs. That's what I'm more concerned with. So are we going to give them some zone coverage? Yeah, but I think we're going to mix in some man as well. And I do expect to blitz a little because we got to get pressure on Jared Goff. They got to try to make him uncomfortable. And you got to set the tone early with Jared Goff. If you spook him early, you got him. You got him. If he gets into a rhythm, though, it's going to be a long effing day. You let him start the game 9 of 9, 10 of 11, 12 of 13. He finna eat your ass alive. But if you get to him on the first third down of the game, his feet aren't set, he's all flustered, and because he ain't running nowhere and he don't like pressure. So you get to him and he's incomplete on that first third down. And next thing you know, you look up and he's 3 of 8 to start the game. You might get 1 or 2 interceptions from his ass. But you got to rattle his cage early. You let him get into a rhythm. He's a rhythm passer. You let him get into a rhythm, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day. Or in this case, a long night. Long night. How do I expect Cliff Kingsbury to use Pony in this game? Well, I loved his usage of it in the last game against Tampa. I think that is imperative because this is kind of falls in line with what I've talked about, which is we got to manufacture the run, right? We have to manufacture positive plays on first and second down. And that dual backfield, that Pony backfield where you've got Eck and B-Rob back there, or McNichols and Eck, or McNichols and B-Rob, it causes misdirection because a lot of times you're sending one of those backs in motion, and then you could fake it to this back here and then throw it out on the perimeter to the other back, which is what they did in this game. They sent Eck in motion, faked it to B-Rob, and then threw it to Eck on the screen, and he ended up getting like 8 or 9 yards. Like, that's the kind of stuff we have to do. You can run the little counter that they do where you fake it to this dude, and then Jaden turns around and hands it to the other back, and it's a counter. And there's so much you can do off of that. I haven't seen this since the first Eagles game, but Eck kind of hides behind the guard, and then you fake it to the running back. Eck sneaks into the flats, and you throw it to him, right? So there's so many things you can do off of that I just love. You add so many different wrinkles. It's a simple offense that apparently, and again, I can't confirm or deny this, but apparently what I was told that Aaron Glenn, the Detroit Lions defensive coordinator, said it's a simple offense. Okay, cool. Then you shouldn't have any problem stopping it then, right? Copy that. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Duncan writes, you and Rio brag JD the best rookie ever, but remember you mofos. Jalen went to the Super Bowl as a rookie year. Facts. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Hey, do me a favor. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. So Ninja X, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Jaden will carve the secondary. Compare fourth down. So we are the team that goes for it on fourth down the most in the NFL. The Lions are, and let me see if I can I'm gonna pull something for you. You asked about fourth downs. I'm gonna pull a little something. So let's look at this. A major part of those no punt games is the fact that Detroit and Washington have been two of the most aggressive and successful teams on fourth down. Washington is first in both fourth down DVOA at 91%, which is crazy, and a success rate of 84%. Also stupid and dumb for as many times as we've gone for it this year. The Lions are more modest at 47.8 and 65% respectively, but no team in football goes for it more when they should than Detroit. Your exact result will vary from model to model, but the Lions go for it on fourth down about 65% of the time when the model suggests they should. No one else in the league is above 60%. So while they don't go for it as much as we do, right, in terms of sheer volume, they go for it more when the analytics suggest, hey, like when ESPN shows analytics say you should go for it here, a lot of teams kick the field goal or punt the football, right? They go for it. Washington's fourth down success comes more from their success in short yardage situations. Washington is third in DVOA on third and fourth and short with a 29.5% DVOA. A lot of that can be chalked up to having Jaden Daniels, obviously, because he's so dynamic in those situations. He's picked up a first down on 9 of his 10 third or fourth down and short designed runs. All 5 of his 5 scrambles and a very solid 65% of his pass attempts. He's a nightmare for defenses to account for when he gets out of the pocket. The Lions, meanwhile, rank just 20th on defense on 3rd and 4th in shorts with the 6.4 DVOA. Washington needs to play all 3rd and mediums like they're in 4-down territory if they want to pull the upset. So you asked about 3rd downs, 4th downs. Nobody goes for it more than us. Nobody goes for it when it is suggested than the Lions. But make no mistake about it, we're the 2 most aggressive 4th down teams in the NFL. Our 2 teams have had the most no punt games in the league this season. We lead the league with 3 no punt, no turnover games, right? It's one thing to not punt in a game because you have turnovers and things of that nature. We have 3 no punt, no turnover games. No other team in the league has more than 1. We have 3 of them this season. So that's also going to be a huge factor in this game, obviously. Sean Hawk, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, the best thing DQ has said this season was we aren't going to ride the roller coaster. And when he said that, he meant from a wins-loss perspective. Like, we're not going to ride that wave. And we did, right? We won. We lost the first game. Then we won 4 in a row. Then we lost to the Ravens. Then we won 3 in a row. Then we lost 3 in a row. And then we haven't lost since, right? So we're on a 6-game winning streak right now. So we have had like a little bit of this, but he was right in the sense of we weren't going to ride that. Like, it wasn't going to be 2 wins, 3 losses, 2 wins, a loss, a win, 3 losses, 2 wins, 2 losses. Like, we weren't doing that shit. For us as fans, we were more so thinking about the emotional roller coaster, like Vivian Green. I'm on an emotional roller coaster. We've been riding that shit all year. All these last-second games, we've been on that damn emotional roller coaster. Funnest damn ride you ever been on in your life, though, as a fan. While you're bullshitting. So Ninja X, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Washington, 23 of 28. Detroit, 23 of 33 on 4th down. X factor? Of course. Of course. Right? So here's what you have to think about. In most games, when it's 3rd and 8, you get this stop. You get the ball back. When you're playing Detroit, they might run that bitch on 3rd and 8 because they're going for it on 4th down. And if you're not careful, they'll get the 1st down on 3rd and 8 with a run because you're not looking for it. Or they'll run the ball on 3rd and 8, get 4, set up 4th and 4, and now they're going for it. You have to rewire your brain, and that's what I know DQ and company have done a great job of this week is rewiring their brain to think, hey, and he's done this season. This is not the first time. Obviously, the Eagles are another team where he was really big on, hey, this is a 4-down fight. Every possession, be ready to go for it on 4th, them to go for it on 4th down. Like DQ said in his press conference this week, I've already told the players, don't come off the field after 3rd down. You stay on the field until I tell you to come off the field. It's that type of party this week. They're going to be aggressive on 4th down. We're going to be aggressive on 4th down. And the team that is most successful on those 4th downs and then utilizes those 4th downs to finish off drives. Here was the thing against Tampa Bay. We went for it on 4th down on 3 drives, 3 separate drives. Our 5 4th down conversions or attempts came on 3 separate drives. Okay, or excuse me, on 4 separate drives. We had 1 drive where we went for it twice on 4th down, and we scored a touchdown. We went for it on fourth down 5 times on 4 separate drives. 2 of them resulted in us not getting the fourth down and not getting any points. The other 2 resulted in touchdowns. We were one of the best, I think the best team in the league this season in converting a fourth down and then having that drive result in a touchdown. That's going to be the key, right? So, one of the things that a lot of people talked about was the aggressive nature of Dan Quinn in the game against Tampa Bay. And somebody brought this up at the watch party, and I thought it was genius, right? They were like, hey, we went for it on fourth down on 4 different possessions. 2 of them we didn't get. But guess what? Had we settled for field goals all 4 times, we had just taken the points, it still wouldn't have equaled up to the 2 touchdowns we scored. 4 field goals get you 12 points. Those 2 touchdowns got us 14 points. So you still made out better being aggressive. Now, it's not going to always work out that way for you. We don't get that 4th and 2 to Terry. You out back and up shit creek without a paddle. But that can't be the way you operate. You can't think that way. You got to expect to convert. So not only is going for it on fourth down going to be impactful, converting on fourth down going to be impactful. You got to finish the drive with a touchdown. You cannot just convert on fourth down, but don't score in the red zone, right? You could be 4 of 6 on fourth downs in this game, but the 2 fourth downs that you didn't get came in the red zone and you came away with no points. I watched the Minnesota Vikings go up and down the field on this Detroit Lions defense on that Sunday night game. They were in the red zone 5 times. They went for it on fourth down 3 times, and they got none of them. And Lions fans, and I even sat here and said, man, that was impressive. It was impressive because the Vikings were held to 9 points. But if you watch the game and you understand, they had their opportunities. They had their opportunities. We get those opportunities. We got to take advantage of those opportunities. Tino TV, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Tino writes, did they announce who will be calling our game? Yeah, you been knew who was calling the game. We on Fox. It's Tom Brady. It's Kevin Burkhardt, Aaron Andrews. You already know who it is. We on Fox. Duh. You talking about referee? Yes, I can look that up for you right now. You talking about the referee calling the game? Let me find out who that exactly. I seen the tweet early in the week. They already had the officials picked out as soon as the games were over. Officials for divisional round playoffs. Let's see. So we are getting Ron Torbert. That's the black dude with the glasses. I'm not happy about that, but it could be worse. We could have had Sean Smith and his crew. They're in Philadelphia. Let him stay there. But Ron Torbert, he'll throw the flag on some bullshit. I would have preferred to have the crew we had this past week. They just let shit go. Just, hey, y'all figure that shit out. Y'all play the game, and we'll let y'all decide the outcome on the field. Like, it's got to be egregious for us to throw the flag. I thought they were way too damn involved in the Eagles game on Sunday against the Packers. But we got Ron Torbert. And remember, it's not his crew. It's an all-star cast of the best of the best, officials. So, yeah. Malachi Malik, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, I hope Diami ain't forget what Amon-Ra St. Brown said. Full circle, young fella. Full circle. Oh, he ain't forget. He ain't forget. None of us have forgotten. Like, he went out of his way to be a dick. So it's time to get some get back. And I couldn't think of a better stage than for him to go in there, outshine Amon-Ra St. Brown en route to upsetting them and sending his monkey ass home. And we'll do it in German with a smile. We'll do it in German with a smile. Kyle W. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Kyle W writes, what's good, Lou? What's good, Kyle? So I was thinking, Lions coming off by, getting some people back from injury. I think they're going to be rusty, out of sync at least early. That's the hope, right? I played you the clip of Logan Ryan, right? Talking about, and I talked about the conversations that me and Boss Man have every year. Boss tell me the same thing. I like the team that played the week before. They got the momentum and they done played. So Logan Ryan kind of spoke to that. Like, bro, that's some real shit. You come off that bye, yeah, you want that rest. You know, you want all that. You're not upset about it, but that team got confidence. They just won the week before, you know, and they could come out a little flat and a little, you know, you got to catch them slipping. That's why I hope we come out fast and really put them on their heels. That's the hope. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JP, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, this is my first divisional round game as an adult. Now I hope I get to see my first NFC championship game ever. I don't want this run to end. And none of us do, and it doesn't have to. And we this close. We this close, we can reach out and touch the NFC championship game. Let's go do it. Let's go do it. Somebody said something to me that was super impactful. Somebody said on the video, I think it was yesterday's video, he said, a rookie quarterback got to win the Super Bowl one of these years. Why not us? It's only fitting if the best rookie quarterback in NFL history does it. Right? Right? Makes a lot of sense. But we'll see, you know. Ed O'Neill, my guy Eddie O. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, don't set yourselves up to be disappointed, fellas. Eddie O, I understand. Let me just say this to you in advance. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You my guy. BJ289. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. BJ writes, Louie T, first off, you and the bros, Rico, Rio, Ed, do y'all thing. Really appreciate you as always, man. I got to ask, though, where did this bravado come from with Detroit fans? What do you mean? They were in the NFC Championship game last year. They felt like they should have won that game, which they should have last year. They went 15-2 this year. They're the #1 seed. Wouldn't you be sticking your chest out? Wouldn't you have bravado if your team played in the NFC Championship game last year and now you have a chance to host it for the first time in franchise history this year? Wouldn't you be talking with your chest? That's where the bravado came from. Like, I can't knock the hustle. I can't. Could you imagine us in that seat? I mean, it's going to happen, right? We just getting started. But I ain't mad at it. But sometimes fans don't understand, right? Sometimes fans don't like, they don't know. So you got to explain to them, here is something you can't understand, how my quarterback can just kill a man. Sometimes they don't understand. They ain't been watching. They don't know we got a killer over here. They don't know. They don't know. So they got to find out. He's like that sometimes. JD5, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. JD5 writes, Lou, just chiming in. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, just chiming in. I'll catch you on the playback. You are the North Star of this fan base. I appreciate that. I'll confidently speak for everyone when I say you deserve your flowers. I appreciate that, man. You've been here through it all. You're the fan version of 17 and 10. I appreciate that. I definitely take that last statement to heart because, yeah, I am the equivalent of them in terms of content creators, without question. I appreciate that. We all deserve this, though. We all deserve this run, this quarterback, the future, what it's going to look like. But we deserve this now. Ain't nobody thinking about into the future. We thinking about doing damage now. Why not us? Really appreciate you, JD5. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Duncan writes, you scrubs ain't winning Sunday. Facts and be happy. What did I ask you to do about 20 minutes ago? Go to sleep, right? I'll say this. You are right. We're not winning on Sunday. Spot on. Jeremiah, thank you for being a member for 30 months. Who writes, wish I could make the party, but I work and I'm in DC. So this is what I struggle with. So, hey, no issues. Like, and I'm not going to tell anybody, I'm not here to tell anybody what's far, right? One of the things I used to always get a trip off of is how people make, and again, like, no, I'm not going to do that because who am I to tell you how far is far, right? I heard a lot of men, I live in DC, and I'm like, okay, and I live an hour from DC. I live an hour from Richmond, so I'm right in the middle. But is 2 hours that far? I drive 2 hours all the time to go back home. I drive 2 hours to and from all the time. I'm in my car for 4, 5, 6 hours. It's nothing. But everybody's not built like that. So, again, who am I to judge anybody who thinks that 2 hours is a long drive? It's not a long drive, really, but seems like that's a deterrent for a lot of you. But it's all good. Again, it's not a big deal. If we won't get enough people to buy tickets, we just won't have it. It's not a big deal. I'll be at the crib watching the game like I usually do, and I'll be here live after the game is done, and that'll be that, right? So it's all good, man. It's all good. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I hope the watch party still happens so I can finally meet you in person, Lou. I saw that you had bought a couple of tickets, so I was looking forward to chopping it up with you and meeting you in person as well. He says, let's punch our ticket to the NFC Championship game. Lions about to F around and find out and be blessed by JD5. Hashtag raise hell. That's been my mantra this entire week is they're going to F around and find out. They at the cross section and F around and find out. So they don't know no better, but they're going to find out. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Duncan writes, everyone calls P miss playoff, please. Okay. All right. Great job, Duncan. You did good. You did good. Jeremiah, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jeremiah writes, but I'll be with my brother and his wife. She bartends at a bar full of Lions fans. So once I get off, we'll be standing 10 toes down, taking the dub. taking home the dub. Hey, be careful in there. Don't allow your emotions to get the best of you, and don't let somebody else that may be drunk or inebriated take you to a place where shit gets, a little bit, I'll say, uncomfortable. I'll say that. Like, it's going to be a lot of emotions on Sunday, or Saturday rather. So just be mindful of that. And then you add some drinks in there and shit could get pretty heated quick. It's a lot of emotions. For a lot of us, not us, a lot of you, this is uncharted territory. You've never been here before. I haven't been in a very long time. So for a lot of you, this shit means something to me, man. Like, this shit means something to all of us. And we know emotions can get the best of you sometimes. So just be careful. But hold us down. You know what to do. GT7, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. GT7 writes, just drop the interview in the chat. Let me know if that works. Simple concepts. A minute in. Okay. Well, he didn't say the offense was simple. He just said they have simple concepts. I can understand. I can let that ride. Because he's not wrong. It's not like we're doing anything elaborate, but don't act like our offense is easy to stop. When you say it's a simple offense, like, oh, we should be able to stop it. Simple concepts. We're not doing anything, dynamic, but again, we have a dynamic guy back there distributing. So that's what makes it different. I'll check it out anyway to see if I feel offended by what he said. Appreciate you, GT7. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Duncan writes, please tell Miss P I'm giving her a pass tonight, but next time I'll be tuning her up. She's pissing me off. Uh-oh. Help me help yourself in... Poor Duncan. You've gone into drunken right territory tonight. But look, we still haven't gotten to where it's like X, J, P, Y, Z, X, 6, 7 territory, but we heading there. We not putting spaces in our words. It's not making sense. We adding in letters that don't belong. We putting periods where they don't belong. Now we drifting into that space. Damn it, man. I thought you was going to be okay tonight. But I saw where this was going after the first super chat. Somebody get this man some water, please. Chris P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Chris writes, do you think this game could come down to coaching? Yeah. When you get to this point of the season, everything matters, especially coaching. There are going to be some decisions that are going to be heavily scrutinized after this game. If we don't win, you're going to break down every Dan Quinn decision made in this game. Oh, you should have took the points here. Oh, you should have went for it on fourth down here. If they don't win, they're going to do the same thing to their coach. That's how this thing goes, right? What I don't want, and I don't have any like apprehension about this because we really haven't seen this, is I don't want to be having any conversations about clock management and when timeouts were used. But we really haven't had those issues, right? We got a guy for that. Kason Ruiz, thank you for becoming the newest member of the MOBB. Stand up. You're in the building. Mob, you know what to do. Show Kason some love. Welcome him with open arms. Welcome to the squad, Kason Ruiz. Glad to have you on board. GT7, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, come on, Louie, come on, man. I got to suck my teeth at your Caribbean accent, laughing my ass off. So there's different levels to these accents. where you from determines how you sound. My family is from the Virgin Islands, so their accent sounds a little bit different than somebody from like Trinidad or Jamaica or, you know, Antigua. I had a buddy from Antigua. It sounds different, right? You hear my mom talk, you hear my dad talk, you're like, okay, you sound just like them. There's levels to this, right? Trust me, I know how to sound like my dad and like how my mom sound, right? You hear them, you're like, okay, all right, you sound just like them. Rush is variety. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Lou, I honestly feel like we're able to get this dub. I wouldn't be afraid of anyone else in the playoffs. This game really puts us over the edge. I already said the winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl. I mean that. I'm not just saying that because we're playing in this game. If we beat Detroit, we know we can beat Philadelphia. We already did it. And with the confidence that we'll be going into that game with, assuming that they win, like they could lose, but I told you, I expect them to dispose of the Rams relatively easy in that game. But assuming that the Eagles win, we have no doubt that we can go there and beat them. None whatsoever. And if we lose, Detroit has no doubt that they can beat Philadelphia. So I just think the winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl. Winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl. A1 the Great. Been a member for 33 months, getting close to that 3-year Annie. A1 the Great writes, what up, Lou? It's going to be a tall order, but I feel like new edition. Because if it isn't us, why do I feel this way? Why does winning stay on my mind? I don't know. But it feels like it's supposed to be this way. It feels like it's supposed to be us. I'm thinking about that video in my head now. Hey, what the great, you stupid, man. Jeremiah, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, if I had a car, I'd be there. No worries, bro. No worries. We'll do more, and the you know, the goal is to eventually head up north, right? We started out here in Richmond because it was convenient, and the guy that reached out to me was from Richmond, so he had contacts in the area, so it just made a ton of sense. But the goal is to move around. So all of them won't be in Richmond. You know, it was just convenient, and then running it back. We don't have time to go scout prospective locations in, you know, the DMV area. It's a quick turnaround. We got to go right with what we know, right? So that's why we stayed in Richmond. But again, if we're doing this for the Super Bowl, even the NFC Championship game, I might, if we win this game, it's still a quick turnaround. But being that if we win, we don't play until the following Sunday, I may be able to do something for that, right? And I'll probably try to take that up north, right? But in any event, I digress. Miss Playoffs, thank you for being a member for 39 months. Salute to Miss Playoffs. Thank you for holding us down as always. Who writes, Lou, please pay attention to the pigeons. Please. Look, man, I can only do but so much, right? I can only do but so much, Miss Playoffs. Like, what more you want from me? I can give them attention when I do a video over on the NFC Super Friends, NFC East Super Friends channel. That's the best I can do, right? It's the best I can do. Captain Obvious, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? Chuck Knoll. Pressure is something you feel when you don't know what you're doing. JD5 never looks like he's under pressure. That dude is different. This team is different. This year is our year. A wise man once told me, you're only nervous when you're unprepared. That's the only time you're nervous. If you're prepared, you could be anxious, but not nervous. JD5 talks about getting those butterflies in his stomach before the game starts. Normal behavior. That's not nervousness, that's anxiousness. Ready to get it going. But if you're prepared, you have no reason to be nervous. That's why he's so cool, calm, and collected, because he's prepared, he's ready. Malachi Malik, been a member for 31 months, getting close to that 3-year Annie. Writes, should Lattimore follow Amon-Ra or stay on one side? Amon-Ra is going to probably make his living in the slot. So my guess is he won't see too much of Amon-Ra unless he steps outside. And again, Amon-Ra does a lot of his damage in the slot. So I would assume that he'll be, moving around with him if he starts outside and then he goes in motion and they're playing man and he runs with him, yeah. But to say that he'll be following him wherever he goes, I don't think that'll be the case. I think they feel just fine with Noah Igbenogany, traveling with him in the slot. Now, we know Noah ain't going to win that battle every time. Nobody wins all the time against Amon-Ra St. Brown. But he going to fight. He going to fight in that matchup. Probably get called for a couple penalties. But he going to fight. He going to fight. All right. So I'm going to leave y'all with this last statistic here, or not really statistic, but it's the last super chat. So we go get out of here. But I'm going to leave you with this. The Lions are not unbeatable. Okay? They're not this dynastic, dominant juggernaut. This isn't the Patriots from 2007. Okay? This ain't that. This ain't the Patriots from 2011. This ain't that. This ain't even the Falcons from 2016. This ain't even that. Every time you look at their record, and I talked about this when we talk about that division in particular. They were so good this year. They had all those records. They got one team left. And I talked about this when the Vikings lost. I said, that division benefited from playing a soft schedule. And they did what they were supposed to do. I'm not knocking the hustle. I'm not here to complain about what they did. But this is why I say we're so dangerous. Every time this Lions team ran into somebody that had some gumption, that had some weight to them, wasn't a featherweight that they could just toss around and beat to a pulp. And we were moving all of the divisional games because that's family business. It don't matter what that family business looks like, it's family business. So you respect that. So I'm not going to even incorporate the games against Minnesota or Green Bay or Chicago because they struggled against those teams too, but they're supposed to. That's family business. I'm talking about non-divisional opponents. They played the AFC South. It don't get no easier than that. And the NFC West. This was a bad year for the NFC West. That said, the one team that's still standing from the West is the Rams, who won that division. Only team to make it from that division to the playoffs. 26-20 overtime victory. They needed OT to beat the Rams in week 1. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, winners of the South, went to Detroit in week 2 and beat those Bamas 20-16. That's why they were mad at us. They wanted to see the Bucs. They wanted a rematch against Tampa Bay. They were mad too. Oh, you mad? You thought you was going to get Tampa Bay? You won't get in Tampa Bay regardless. You was getting the lowest seed. So if it weren't us, it was the Rams. But you got us instead. In week 10, Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions. They were down 23-7 at half and should have been blown out in that game if CJ Stroud didn't play like ass in the second half. But they came back and they won that game 26-23. Now, we don't have the Texans defense, so don't think about 5 interceptions and none of that shit because we can't do that. They got 2 lockdown corners in Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley Jr. I wish we had that kind of shit going for us. In week 15, they played the Bills, and they gave up 48 points en route to a 48-42 loss. Now, we could do that. We could do that. But do you really want to do that? Because that means you got to go blow for blow. And you can't let up. And every time they respond, you got to respond. It's a lot of pressure. And then even late in the season, week 17, they gave up 34 points to the San Francisco 49ers. Won that game 40-34. Couldn't stop the 49ers on offense. Hell, even Josh Dobbs came in late and was moving the ball on their ass. I say all that to say this. When they played teams that were any good, they either struggled or they lost. And both of their losses this season came at home. This is no done deal. This is no sure thing. And you can go in a house with dirty shoes, not wipe your feet off on the welcome mat, and track mud all up and through their crib. Buffalo did it. They got one of them ones. So do we. Tampa Bay did it. Well, we just beat them. So why we can't beat Detroit? You tell me. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Here on Commanders Nightly News. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. It's only a day away. We'll have our keys to victory, score and more, and prediction for the game. And then there'll be no more talking. There'll be no more talking. It'll just be football on Saturday. And we got the rest of tonight into tomorrow. If we get enough sales, we'll have the watch party. If not, I'll see y'all on Sunday. I'll be sitting right here. Win or lose. As I told y'all last week, we'll be celebrating either way. Either we moving on to the championship game, or we celebrating a hell of a ride, a hell of a season, and the start of something big. Looking forward to it. You guys have a good one. Take care. I'll see you next time.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone.